Hi, I'm Heidi Raphael, co-chair for the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation.
And I'm Jack Goodman, the other co-chair of the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation.
And we would like to welcome you to the LABF Power Session.
In this module, you're going to get an overview of the Library of American Broadcasting and the vast resources available for students to access and utilize from the LABF's reference specialist, Michael Henry.
Next, learn how to create compelling on-air and podcast programming from programming consultant and former executive vice president of programming for Cumulus, Mike McVay.
Then, founder, creator, and host of Sunday Night Slow Jams, R-Dub, will walk us through hosting, producing, and growing a syndicated radio show to over 200 affiliates.
And finally, hear about marketing and how it's used to grow your brand with Susan Aksu, the Director of Marketing for Benztown.
Hello, my name is Michael Henry, and I am with the Library of American Broadcasting. Today I hope to give you an introduction to the Library of American Broadcasting, what it is, what its mission is, and the resources it has that may be of use to you in your own work as podcasters and radio broadcasters. Now, what is the Library of American Broadcasting? The Library of American Broadcasting is a vast collection of primary and secondary resources at the University of Maryland in College Park, Maryland, devoted to the history of radio and television broadcasting. Now, I mentioned primary and secondary sources. Primary sources are those resources, documents that really document the work of people who are directly involved in the broadcast industry. Primary documents include their letters, their photographs, their recordings, their awards, their reports, their letters to advertising agencies, and other personnel involved in their productions. And this kind of material is the material that really is exciting to researchers and others who use it, to myself and to my colleagues who organize it, because it gives a first-hand look into broadcast history, the sights and the sounds that often make it a very immersive and exciting experience. Now, Professor Donald Godfrey, in his book, Methods of Historical Analysis in Electronic Media, really does a good job of summarizing the exciting aspect of using these primary resources when he writes, "Historical truths must be derived from all available evidence. This is the search, the detective work, and the discovery process." And I hope today, by the end of my presentation, you will have a new appreciation for how exciting broadcast history can be and the resources that we use to document broadcast history. We cover all aspects of radio and television broadcasting from the 1920s all the way to the present, which essentially means 100 years of radio and television broadcasting, especially here in really entering the centennial, 100 years of commercial broadcasting. And that is really the strength of the Library of American Broadcasting, commercial broadcasting, although we also document public and educational broadcasting as well. Now, which aspects of broadcasting do we cover? Basically everything, from the local radio and television stations in maybe your own hometown that you grew up listening to or watching, all the way to the national radio and television networks that you may be familiar with, such as NBC, CBS, ABC, and others. Now, what aspects of the work of those stations do we document? Well, we document their programming, the news and public affairs programs, the music programs, drama and comedy programs, basically anything that they produced and aired over their airwaves, we document. And who do we document? We document the personalities who created these programs or appeared on these programs. The writers, the directors, the engineers, the performers, the men and women involved in all aspects of broadcasting. And what aspects of the production do we cover? All aspects of the production, including the writing, directing, the engineering, the advertising and promotion, the performances. And in visual media like television, we document the lighting and the stage direction. In radio broadcasts, we document radio sound effects and the studios and the local stations and the national studios. So we really do cover all aspects of broadcast history. But the Library of American Broadcasting does more than just document broadcasting history. we actually document all of American history and culture. Through news and public affairs and entertainment programs, radio and television broadcasts have captured the sights and sounds of American culture in all its forms. It's political and social, it's economic, it's peacetime, it's wartime. For example, in the 1930s, radio broadcasts, especially radio entertainment broadcasts, became an essential part of the American home, making its way through the difficult times of the Great Depression. During the Second World War, radio news came to prominence, reporting on what was going on the battlefront as well as the home front. And even in the entertainment programs, they were providing entertainment through music and drama and comedy to entertain during those difficult times. And after the war, during the Cold War, radio and television broadcasting documented the tensions of that time period as well. The Vietnam War, the Korean War, the Civil Rights Movement, the Women's Movement, Watergate, political assassinations, all aspects of that time for the second half of the 20th century that many of us still remember today. And the Library of American Broadcasting is also very interested and concerned about documenting the role that women have played and how they've intersected with broadcasting, both as people within the broadcast industry, as writers, directors, performers, engineers, and sound effects personnel. But also women as audience, women who watch television programs and listen to radio programs that were written and produced by them and for them. I've been speaking a lot about resources. So this collection includes books, magazines, photographs, scripts, personal collections, audio recordings, film and video recordings, anything that can really document and give people a first-hand look at the broadcast industry. Now, who conducts this detective work and makes these discoveries? Well, actually, people like yourself. Podcasters, radio broadcasters, television broadcasters, documentary filmmakers, Hollywood filmmakers, students, graduate students, professors, faculty, even genealogists doing family history. These are all the kinds of researchers that I work with on a daily basis who express an interest in using all of these print and AV resources to document and research all these aspects of broadcast history and American culture. Now, I hope this presentation has informed you and perhaps entertained you, and I look forward to speaking with you directly. I have included links to our finding aids, our website, our digital collections, and my email so that you can reach out to me directly. I'm very happy to work with you and anyone else who might be interested in these kinds of resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to talk about programming the total picture. And content creators are responsible for everything that comes out of the speakers. Craig Davis, the former chief creative officer at J. Walter Thompson, once said, "We need to stop interrupting what people are interested in and be what people are interested in." Now, what does that mean? It means don't make it about you, but make it about them. If you can deliver to an audience what people are interested in, then they will listen to you. And content creators are responsible for everything that comes out of the speaker. Now, we're going to start with content itself being music, or if you're on a talk radio station, that's spoken word. And it's instant gratification. Every time I hit the button for your radio station, I should hear a hit song or a big news story, be that sports or news talk. What's that mean to us in radio? Because we listen all the time, we go crazy. Why are we always playing the same songs? Why are we always talking about the same things? But the average listener only listens 2 to 3 hours a week. And so you need to play the big hits, be that stories or music, over and over again. Your clock design and structure can create repeat tune-in. When you're going into a commercial, you want a big hit song. You want to tease, telling people what to come back for after the commercials. There's a reason we run special programming on radio stations. Actually, 2 reasons. One is to get an audience to move from one time listening to another time listening, one day part to another. The second reason is it lets listeners know that you're still on the air. I may never listen on a Saturday night, but hearing you talk about it through the week lets me know you're still on the air and you do have variety. Creating showbiz, that's where production and imaging come in. Great imaging is that thing that makes a radio station memorable or exciting or gives you a feeling for who that station is. I always like to tell content creators and radio programmers that the way a station gets its personality is from the imaging. It makes a station memorable. And when your station is memorable, listeners will write it down in the rating book, or they'll have a reason that they know in their brain to come back to it over and over again. If I put you in a room and I ask your favorite radio station, and I said, why do you listen? You would give me something that's memorable. Information. Information in the new millennium comes from a lot of different locations. Social media, your cell phone, it comes from the internet. And right now, if you watch video, be it online or television, what you see in YouTube and other things, multiple messages coming to you at once. It's what radio has to do through audio, which is difficult because we have one sense, the sense of sound. The content, therefore, has to be really good. Stories that are written around heart, purse, health, relaxation, safety, and then local and national stories to answer the question, what does it mean to me? Outside the news, there's what I like to call DTI. It stands for discretionary time information, but that's kind of a little too sophisticated. So DTI, where do people go and what do they do in their free time? Talk about it. It's concerts, it's events, it's things that matter to them. And in weather and traffic, because we call that survival information. Yep, I can get it on my phone, but if I'm listening to your radio station, I should never have to look at my phone. Personality. The role of the personality is to entertain. And what makes personalities great versus okay is that they talk to an audience, that they're great storytellers, that they can communicate one-on-one and get that message through quickly and make an impact. Now, morning drive, you can tolerate more talk. The rest of the day, not so much talk. Reason for that is, in the morning, we have the ability to focus on what's being said because most of us aren't at work yet. But once you get to work, or once your day starts to take off, you don't want anyone to ever turn around and turn the radio down or click away because it's a distraction. Show prep. Great talent are prepared. For every hour you're on the air, there should be 30 minutes of show prep. So if you're doing a 4-hour radio show, you should have 2 hours of show prep. And then practice, practice, practice. Just like that person who wants to be a pro athlete, they're throwing a football through a tire 100,000 times. I used to sit in a microphone, which was really my hairbrush, and read the newspaper aloud. Today you'd look at your iPad, you can talk into your phone, and do stories over and over. The more you practice, the better you'll be. And coaching. Everybody needs coaching. If Tiger Woods, the world's one-time greatest golfer, needed coaching, then everybody needs it. Be accepting of it. Promotion is like life. Expectation, realization, and memory. We're going to tell you what we're giving away. We're going to give it away. Then we're going to go back to the person who won it and talk to them about how it impacted them. And the reason you do promotions is to grow audience or to get an audience to come back over and over again. Marketing. Marketing is kind of like, that thing that brings people into a store. Now, promotion is the discount you get on the thing you buy in the store, but marketing is required to bring you into the store. And the most important thing is to always be thinking about what's next. What are the opportunities? There's more opportunity today than ever before, be that on social media, be that online, creating your own content, using YouTube, and artificial intelligence. If you can be a content creator, you have so many vehicles to put it out there. How many people are we now seeing that start out on TikTok and suddenly become an influencer? People in mass media are interested in people in niche media. That's programming the total picture. We'll make this information available to you that you can look at it and dig down into it in a deeper basis. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to talk about radio syndication. My name is Randy Williams, otherwise known as R-Dub on the radio. I'm the creator and host of a syndicated radio show called Sunday Night Slow Jams. Now, I started this very show as a 16-year-old high school sophomore at my local radio station, a tiny AM radio station in the desert. And today I'm happy that the show is on over 200 cities in 14 countries. I've written 2 best-selling books on syndication. You might have seen me on Shark Tank with Brian McKnight back in 2013, talking about Sunday Night Slow Jams. I have a day job as well. I'm the director of programming, and I also do the live afternoon show for a radio station here in San Diego, California. You can check out slowjams.com and follow me on social media. Well, what is radio syndication? Simply put, it's any radio program that is aired on more than one station and market. So most people have a show on in their hometown and that's it. But if that same show is on even 1 or 2 other cities, that's syndicated. Now, success in radio syndication is actually super easy if you're one of these people, if you're a household name. Now, let me explain. Now, if I were Bruno Mars, I could probably pick up the phone right now and call one of the 4 or 5 huge national syndication companies and say, hey, I'm Bruno Mars, give me a show. And those syndication companies would probably fight over me, offer me big money and put me on a whole bunch of radio stations. But I'm not Bruno Mars and neither are you. I'm a little bit closer to that guy that you see, a local DJ who just loves radio. It's a little tougher if you're this guy. And it was tougher for me than it would be for Bruno Mars. Whole lot of work put into it, but was it worth it? Absolutely. Before we go any further, I want to talk about the business model. How does all of this make money? Well, there are 2 main models for syndication. Number 1 is cash, and number 2 is barter. The cash model is pretty simple. The radio station basically pays you or your syndication company money in exchange for airing your show, your product. Barter's a little bit more difficult. In the barter model, you or your syndication company sells advertising. So, for example, I may call Coca-Cola and say, hey, Coca-Cola, do you want to advertise on Sunday Night Slow Jams? I've got 200 radio stations airing my show. If Coca-Cola says yes, they pay me. I put their commercials in my show, and then the radio stations, instead of paying me cash, just agree to air my show with the commercials inside. Does that make sense? So those are the 2 most popular models, cash or barter. Some syndicated radio shows are sold with a combination of cash and barter. We can get into that later. I want to talk about the 2 biggest advantages of having your own syndicated show. Number 1, job security. Look, before I had a syndicated show, I was just a radio DJ. That meant I had 1 job, 1 employer, and 1 salary. So if I were to get laid off or fired, I'd go from 100% salary. Let's just say I was making $70,000. I'd go from $70,000 to 0 overnight. That's pretty scary. That's pretty much like most jobs, right? How are you going to pay the rent? The thing that I love about being syndicated is, for example, right now, I'm on about 220 radio stations every week. Let's just say 2 of those radio stations decide to fire me tomorrow. They don't want my show on. They're changing format, or maybe they just don't like me anymore. Well, it's fine because I still have 218 other radio stations helping me pay my bills. So the job security in syndication, for the most part, is pretty awesome. The second biggest advantage, for me at least, remember, this is just my story. Others' opinions and stories may differ. But I love the fact that there is no ceiling in syndication. Remember, the more stations you're on, the more successful you are. And there's literally like hundreds, if not thousands, of open radio markets in the United States. Again, I'll use my number. Currently, I'm on 220 radio stations. Well, what's to stop me from getting to 230, 250, 300? I'm also on 14 different countries around the world. Well, hello, there are 193 countries in the world. So there is so much room to grow, and never in history, I know this for a fact, has there been a show that's ever been on every single market. So there's always going to be room to grow versus another job where you may easily hit a ceiling and just kind of have nowhere to go. Here are 3 basic requirements if you think radio syndication is for you. Number 1, the idea. What is your show all about? What is it? Number 2, well, you've got to have the passion and desire for the product, for what you're doing. And number 3, no surprise, radio syndication is a huge and major investment, not just in money, but in time. Speaking for myself, I've given my life over for my show. I live, eat, breathe, and sleep Sunday night slow jams. It's pretty much all I do. So just think about those requirements if you're ready to get syndicated. I delve into each of these 5 steps in great detail in my book if you'd like to know more, or you can just contact me. So I'm going to go through these really quick, but these are basically like the 5 secrets to syndication success, and I'll rattle through them pretty quick. Number 1, you've got to create your show and then launch it on one local radio station first. I assume by this time you're working for a radio station, so launch it on your local radio station, okay? Number 2, you've got to see success in that market on your station. Think of it as you're test marketing the product. And by the way, if you don't see success, stop there. Do not collect $200. Do not pass go. If it's not going to succeed at your local radio station, it's probably going to be really tough to see it succeed outside of your market, okay? So say it succeeds. Great. You're on to number 3. That's when you pick up the phone or the email or the text and call a bunch of radio stations and get this thing launched on a second radio station. So even just one station outside of your market. Number 4, now you've got to see success in that market. Sure, it worked at your local radio station, but will it work in a different city outside of your market, non-locally? Now, if it does, you're off to the races. Number 5, you want to rinse and repeat until you've got enough audience to sign a syndication deal. And there's the spoiler alert. You need an audience to get a syndication deal. Again, unless you're Bruno Mars, just a regular DJ like mine, hey, syndication companies aren't going to be beating down your door just because you've got a great idea or your show sounds really good. What they really care about is making money, and how syndication companies make money is by audience. So once you've got enough audience amassed, you can call a syndication company and say, look, I've got X amount of people that listen to my show or X amount of stations. Let's play ball. They're not really going to care so much about your show, but the audience that you can bring them. Last couple of few things to remember. You should always ask yourself, why are you doing this? Are you doing this for the love of the music or whatever subject your show's about? As I did in my case, of course, it's the old adage, do what you love and the money will follow. Or are you just doing this to make money or get famous? Hopefully it's number 1 for the passion. I think that's the quickest way to succeed really in anything. Number 2, you got to remember that it is a long and very slow road. Chances are you will not explode overnight, or you probably won't even explode ever, but you may have some fun doing this and spreading your show to other people in other cities, which I really get a kick out of. It's one of my favorite parts about being syndicated. And number 3, remember this, radio syndication or success in radio syndication is like building a giant castle, and each small brick is a radio station. So yeah, it's going to take a lot of bricks, but keep stacking those bricks. You're going to have this huge castle, and it's going to be awesome. All right? Build a moat, too. Keep the dragons out. My name's R-Dub from slowjams.com and Benztown, and thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact me anytime. Thanks for having me a part of this. Take care.
Hi, I'm Susan Oxum-Magarian, and I am the Director of Marketing for Benztown. And so today I'll be talking about marketing and branding for radio. This is a quote from Seth Godin that I think is really great. Build trust and earn attention. The entity that gets the most trust will get the most customers. And in our case, in radio, customers are our listeners. So here are some radio marketing strategies for stations who are looking to increase their listenership to follow. Of course, these are very foundational strategies, and they include social media marketing, website, which includes SEO, search engine optimization, street and promotionals team, and merchant swag. And depending on your station's budget, these will all vary. You can definitely go super big or super small. It just depends on your budget. And creativity. Creativity is a huge part of being able to get your station out to your listeners. And this comes back to the quote, build trust and earn attention. The entity that gets the most trust will get the most customers. So if you're not marketing to your listeners, you're not getting their attention, you're not going to be able to build the trust that you need to, and you will not maybe be able to get the most amount of listeners for your potentially popular morning shows or daytime shows or nighttime shows or just anything in between. So for every good marketing strategy, the foundation of that comes branding. So your station's brand and personality should be tied into all aspects of your marketing, traditional and digital. So whether it's a newsletter, a Facebook ad, or an Instagram post, someone should be able to see your post and recognize that that is blank station. So it's really important to keep the overall look and tone consistent. Your graphics should follow a brand guideline. And here's an example of one, a very generic one, but that means your font should be the same throughout, color should be used throughout, and the aesthetic should all match. Photos that you use, whether it's on social media or on your website, should be all high quality. In the day and age of smartphones and stock images that you can purchase, there is not really an excuse for using low quality or grainy images, unless you're doing like a throwback post or something from like the 60s and 50s. But even then, you'll find a lot of really good high quality photos. And ask yourself if the tone is appropriate for the station's demographic and is aligned with the overall brand. So if you are creating a post for the holidays, does the way that you're kind of changing up the tone of your, or the image of your piece, does it match the overall brand? So with that, here's an example of K-Rock. K-Rock is a station in Los Angeles. It's an alternative station. The image, the main logo is just very recognizable, and what they would use like on all of their branding. And then K-Rock Almost Acoustic Christmas is an event that they hold around the holidays, a concert. And even though it's very Christmassy, I can tell that it's Christmas tones, Christmas colors, even the font's a little different. I can tell that it's associated with this station. It's an edgy station, and the K-Rock Almost Acoustic Christmas event is still edgy, alternative visual, right? So they did a good job of sticking with the tone of the brand. So then we're going to go into social media. So social media is the number one way to connect directly with your listeners while off air in ways you can't while on air. And so this is your opportunity to show what's happening behind the scenes. Engage with listeners in real time by commenting, replying, liking comments. And it's really important to not take these types of interactions for granted. No one has to engage with your post. No one is required to show your station support on social media. So it's really important that if you get a comment like, oh, I really enjoyed the playlist this morning, respond on the behalf of the station as soon as you see the comment, because they could be listening to the other alternative or other R&B station or other CHR station in the market. So show them that you care, and because you can't really communicate with them while you're on air, do it on social media. It's easy and free. So remember to promote your station's on-air personalities and events so that listeners can associate who they're listening to and can show support for your show even a lot more deeply. The great thing about audio is that it can live forever. Repurpose it. If you have a good clip from your morning show or your just a great interview, repurpose it and give it some extra life and give people an opportunity to hear what they missed that morning. And a great way to do this is through audiograms, which I will show you in a minute. It's just a fun way and an easy way to create content for your social media. And then with that, be sure to just create really shareable posts that are relevant and topical using high quality imagery again. So don't use grainy pictures. Don't use pictures you don't own. Just make sure if someone comes to your social media, they're going to want to interact with your content. And then a really good point to also include is your station's logo on the graphics. So that way, when it is getting reshared, hopefully 1 million times, your station's logo will constantly be present and people will associate this awesome content with your station. And then, like I had just said, market not just your station, but your talent and programming as well. So if you have great syndicated programming, give it some love. If you have awesome talent, give them some love. So here's 3 feeds that I thought were really great for different reasons. The first one is Alt 98.7, which is a alternative station in Los Angeles, and they're doing a great job of highlighting their talent, Booker and Stryker, and then they also are showing off concerts that they're having with like Blink-182, stuff that's happening in studio. So basically, you can see what's happening behind the scenes, but also what's coming up. And they're using similar fonts throughout each of their posts, and not a lot of text. So that's their style. Then in the middle, we have Hey Morton, which is a syndicated program. They're based in San Diego, and it's a family-friendly show. And just by looking at this grid, I can tell that it is a family show. You see the host, Rick Morton, with his family. You see Adina, who is at a local event. You see just basically what the show encompasses, and it's pretty clear on their feed. Then this third grid is the Breakfast Club. And what I really like about this feed is that they're constantly using framing around each of their posts. And while they kind of differ, their overall branding is obvious. They're using their logo for each post. Additionally, they're using the same color scheme throughout. So if this gets reshared 1 million times, which I'm sure a lot of these do, people will quickly identify that this is the Breakfast Club, and I'm going to come back to the Breakfast Club and see what juicy topic they're talking about tomorrow, which they're really good about doing. They're constantly posting. As I had mentioned earlier, this is an audiogram. These are 2 that we've done for Benztown. One for an audio tribute for Taylor Hawkins, and the other is for a Memorial Day show. Very simple to set up and very shareable. Basically, you're pulling clips from your show. It could be any length, but it should be within the length of the social media platform that you're going to be uploading to. So for example, if you're going to upload to Instagram, there's a time limit. Twitter has its own time limit, and Facebook has like a longer time limit. So just make sure you stay within those parameters. All you would need is the clip, a graphic, and to upload this to Headliner and download as a high quality video file. I'm going to go ahead and play one of the clips.
It's Top 10 Now and Then, the most unique countdown show on the radio today.
So these are some free-ish resources that will help in your marketing. Free-ish because they are all free. However, they all have premium versions that you can opt in for to unlock certain features. Canva is great to create social media graphics. Headliner is the app that I just showed you to create audiograms. Pexels is a free stock photo site. Buffer is a social media posting platform, which is really great for saving time and scheduling out posts. Grammarly, you should all be using to proofread your post. And Google Trends is actually a pretty cool Google feature that pulls up things that are trending right now, depending on certain keywords that you're looking for. And Marketing Brew is my favorite thing to read every morning. it gives you the latest and the most topical things that are happening in different marketing aspects, but also in the world of branding. So just it gives you some cool insights of things that you could use in your everyday marketing. Next, I'm going to quickly talk about websites. So websites are a station storefront, and so make sure it looks good and works right. You want to make sure that it's branded properly, easy to navigate, it's responsive, which really just means that when you look at it on a desktop and then you look on your phone, regardless of what platform you're on, it's going to work properly, it's going to make sense to the user, and it's going to function perfectly. You want to make sure that you have a schedule of programming, that there's a live audio player, a blog that is updated regularly, and that's when you update your blog regularly, it helps with SEO. And if you do this all correctly, it can be used as a source of monetization through ad sales or a classified section. So just by having a website, you could be making money, and I'll show you that in the next couple slides. This is K-Day's website, and I just want to show you how clean like the top part of their site is. Just by looking up there, I can find on-air talent, I can find the news, podcast, any events, contests, and as I said, that a listen live button is really important. Yeah, so this is pretty great. Then the next one is KCRW, which is a local public radio station in LA. The reason I like to show this is because it does have a similar clean menu bar, but a lot of blog sections as well. And there's also videos that were recorded in studio with different artists. This is K-Rock's site, and the two ads, bringing communities together for mental health, those are both ad spaces. So obviously I'm not sure how much they charge for it, but just by having those two placements available for people to purchase, you could be making $200 a space a month or a week, depending on how big your station is. You could charge different things, but the more prominent a spot is, the more you can charge. Next, I'm going to talk about station swag. This is our dear friend Adam Sandler, who, if you've seen Airheads, branded station merch that your listeners want to show off is the key. Swag is great. It can be anything from stickers, tote bags, shirts, beach towels, and gym bags. You want the most bang for your buck? Well, people want to keep it or trash it. So this is something to consider when you're asking your station manager for money to buy swag, right? So will the items serve as a walking advertisement? That's also key. Will your station logo be prominent on it? If it's not, then maybe don't go for that piece of item. So just a few things to consider. And if you can, if your budget permits, change it up seasonally. So have maybe a summer swag option and then maybe a winter swag option. So here's a few different swag pieces. Just consider these walking advertisements. Additionally, here's some other swag from Benztown. We love swag. This is a bottle opener from the Todd and Tyler show. These are socks that we have produced. It has our logo all over it. And obviously, depending on your station's budget, things like this will, you'll have to plan this out well in advance, most likely, but it's really fun to be able to design swag. And then this is also a fun shirt that Benztown designed. So you can be super creative and be able to stretch your budget as much as possible. Thank you all for listening. And again, I'm Susan Aksu Magarian, the Benztown Director of Marketing. And if you would like to bounce off ideas, feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you for watching the first module of the LABF Power Session. You can find contact information for the presenters and more details about LABF and links to support our activities in this video's description.
Make sure to watch Module 2, where you'll learn about sales, creative branding, and commercial production. See you next time.